see yourself receiving or achieving it. These positive statements are called affirmations. While you use affirmations, try to temporarily suspend any doubts or disbelief you may have, at least for the moment, and practice getting the feeling that that which you desire is very real and possible. Continue to work with this process until you achieve your goal or no longer have the desire to do so. Remember that goals often change before they are realized, which is a perfectly natural part of the human process of change and growth. So don't try to prolong it any longer than you have energy for it. If you lose interest, it may mean that it's time for a new look at what you want. If you find that a goal has changed for you, be sure to acknowledge that to yourself. Get clear in your mind the fact that you are no longer focusing on your previous goal. End the cycle of the old and begin the cycle of the new. This helps you avoid getting confused or feeling that you failed when you have simply changed. When you achieve a goal, be sure to acknowledge consciously to yourself that it has been completed. Often we achieve things that we have been desiring and visualizing, and we forget to even notice that we have succeeded. So give yourself some appreciation and a pat on the back, and be sure to thank the universe for fulfilling your requests. Creative visualization works only for good. Don't fear that the power of creative visualization can be used for harmful ends. Creative visualization is a means of unblocking or dissolving the barriers we ourselves have created to the naturally harmonious, abundant, and loving flow of the universe. It is only truly effective when it is used in alignment with our highest goals and purposes for the highest good of all beings. If someone should attempt to use this powerful technique for a harmful or destructively selfish end, that person would only be demonstrating his or her ignorance of the law of karma. This is the same basic principle as the law of radiation and attraction. As you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever you try to create for another will always boomerang back to you. That includes both loving, helpful, or healing actions and negative, destructive ones. This means, of course, that the more you use creative visualization to love and serve others as well as your own highest ends, the more love, happiness, and success will just naturally find their way to you. It's a good idea to add the following phrase to any creative visualization process you do. This or something better now manifests for me in totally satisfying and harmonious ways for the highest good of all concerned. As an example, if you're visualizing getting a job promotion, don't envision the person above you being fired, but imagine him or her moving on to other better things or a better, more fulfilling job, so that it works out for the good of all. You don't need to understand or figure out how that will happen, or try to decide what is the best way it could work out. Simply assume that it is working out for the best and let universal intelligence take care of the details. Affirmations. Affirmations are one of the most important elements of creative visualization. To affirm means to make firm. An affirmation is a strong, positive statement that something is already so. It is a way of making firm that which you are imaging. Most of us are aware of the fact that we have a nearly continuous inner dialogue going on in our minds. The mind is busy talking to itself, keeping up an endless commentary about life, the world, our feelings, our problems, and other people. The words and ideas that run through our minds are very important. Most of the time, we aren't consciously aware of this stream of thoughts, and yet what we are telling ourselves in our minds is the basis on which we form our experience of reality. Our mental commentary influences and colors our feelings and perceptions about what's going on in our lives, and it is these thought forms that ultimately attract and create everything that happens to us. Anyone who has practiced meditation knows how difficult it can be to quiet this inner mind talk in order to connect with our deeper, wiser, intuitive mind. One traditional meditation practice involves simply observing the inner dialogue as objectively as possible. This is a very valuable experience as it allows you to become consciously aware of the content of your thoughts. Many of these thoughts are like tape recordings of old patterns we've had all our lives. They are old programming we picked up long ago, which is still influencing what's happening to us today. For example, we might find that we habitually think self-defeating thoughts such as, "I'm not going to be able to do this," or "this is never going to work out right." The practice of engaging in affirmations allows us to begin replacing some of our stale, worn out, or negative mind chatter with more positive ideas and concepts. It is a powerful technique, one which can, in a short time, transform many of our attitudes and expectations about life, and thereby help to change what we create for ourselves. Affirmations can be done silently, spoken aloud, written down, or even sung or chanted. Even 10 minutes a day of repeating effective affirmations can counterbalance years of old mental habits. If you become aware that you are repeating habitual negative thought patterns or attitudes, try saying an affirmation to yourself a few times right then and there. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "Oh, what's the use? I'll never get what I want," you might say to yourself, "I have the ability to create what I want in my life," or "I deserve to be happy and fulfilled." An affirmation can be any positive statement. It can be very general or very specific. There are an infinite number of possible affirmations. Here are a few just to give you some ideas. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better, better, and better. Everything is coming to me easily and effortlessly. I am naturally enlightened. I am the master of my life. I love and appreciate myself just as I am. The more I love myself, the more love I have to give others. My relationship with, you fill in the blank, is growing happier and more fulfilling every day. I now have a perfect, satisfying, well-paying job. I enjoy relaxing and having fun. I always communicate clearly and effectively. I'm always in the right place at the right time, successfully engaged in the right activity. This is a rich universe and there's plenty for all of us. Abundance is my natural state long ago, which is still influencing what's happening to us today. For example, we might find that we habitually think self-defeating thoughts such as, "I'm not going to be able to do this," or "this is never going to work out right." The practice of engaging in affirmations allows us to begin replacing some of our stale, worn out, or negative mind chatter with more positive ideas and concepts. I deserve to be happy and fulfilled. An affirmation can be any positive statement. It can be very general or very specific. There are an infinite number of possible affirmations. Here are a few just to give you some ideas. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better, better, and better. Everything is coming to me easily and effortlessly. I am naturally enlightened. I am the master of my life. To create what I want in my life. Or, I deserve to be happy and fulfilled. An affirmation can be any positive statement. It can be very general or very specific. There are an infinite number of possible affirmations. Here are a few just to give you some ideas. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better, better, and better. Everything is coming to me easily and effortlessly. I am naturally enlightened. I am the master of my life. I love and appreciate myself just as I am. The more I love myself, the more love I have to give others. My relationship with, you fill in the blank, is growing happier and more fulfilling every day. I now have a perfect, satisfying, well-paying job. I enjoy relaxing and having fun. I always communicate clearly and effectively. I'm always in the right place at the right time, successfully engaged in the right activity. This is a rich universe and there's plenty for all of us. Abundance is my natural state of being. I accept it now. The more I have, the more I have to give. The more I give, the more I receive, and the happier I feel. It's okay for me to have fun and enjoy myself, and I do. I am vibrantly healthy and radiantly beautiful. I am open to receiving all the blessings of this abundant universe. Whatever I need is coming to me easily and effortlessly. I have a wonderful job with wonderful pay. I do a wonderful service in a wonderful way. I am now
circular, it's still closed, West.
My higher purpose in life. I now recognize, accept, and follow the divine plan of my life as it is revealed to me step by step. Here are some important things to remember about affirmations. Always phrase affirmations in the present tense, not in the future. It's important to create your desire as if it already exists. Don't say, I will get a wonderful new job, but rather, I now have a wonderful new job. This is not lying to yourself. It is acknowledging the fact that everything is created first on the inner plane before it can manifest in external reality. Always phrase affirmations in the most positive way you can. Affirm what you do want, not what you don't want. Don't say, I no longer oversleep in the morning, but rather, I now wake up on time and full of energy in the morning. This ensures that you are creating the most positive possible mental image. At certain times, you may find it helpful to phrase affirmations negatively, especially when you are working on clearing out specific emotional blocks or bad habits, such as, I don't need to get tense in order to get things accomplished. If so, you should always follow this type of affirmation with a positive one which describes that which you desire to create, such as, I now stay deeply relaxed and centered, and everything is accomplished easily and effortlessly.
If you're
easily and effortlessly. In general, the shorter and simpler the affirmation, the more effective. An affirmation should be a clear statement that conveys a strong feeling. The more feeling it conveys, the stronger impression it makes on your mind. Affirmations that are long, wordy, and theoretical lose their emotional impact and become a head trip. Always choose affirmations that feel totally right for you. What works for one person may not work at all for another. An affirmation should feel positive, expansive, freeing, and/or supportive. If it doesn't, find another one or try changing the words until it feels right. Of course, you may feel emotional resistance to any affirmation when you first use it, especially one which is really powerful for you and is going to make a real change in your consciousness. That is simply our natural fear of change and growth. Always remember that you're creating something new and fresh. You are not trying to redo or change what already exists. To do so would be to resist what is, which creates conflict and struggle. Take the attitude that you are accepting and handling whatever already exists in your life, and at the same time, taking every moment as a new opportunity to begin creating exactly what you desire and will make you happiest. Affirmations are not meant to contradict or change your feelings or emotions. It is important to accept and experience all your feelings, including so-called negative ones, without attempting to change them. At the same time, affirmations can help you create a new point of view about life that will enable you to have more and more satisfying experiences from now on. Try as much as possible to create a feeling of belief, an experience that your affirmations can be true. Temporarily, at least for a few minutes, suspend your doubts and hesitations and put your full mental and emotional energy into them. If doubts, resistance, or negative thoughts are getting in the way of doing your affirmations, do one of the clearing processes or the writing affirmations process given in Part 4 of this book, feeling that you really have the power to create that reality, which in fact you do. This will make a big difference in how effective they are. Affirmations can be used alone or in combination with visualizing or imaging. It's very effective to include affirmations. I give thanks to Mother Earth for nurturing and sustaining me every day. The light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God flows through me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. A spiritual paradox. Sometimes people who have studied Eastern philosophy or are on a certain consciousness growth path feel a hesitation about using creative visualization when they first hear of it. Their conflict comes from the apparent paradox they see between the idea of being here now, letting go of attachments and desires, and the idea of setting goals and creating what you want in life. I say apparent paradox because in actuality there is no contradiction between the two teachings and they are understood on a deeper level. They are both important principles that must be understood and lived in order to become a conscious person. In order to explain how they fit together, allow me to share with you my viewpoint about the process of inner growth. Most people in our culture have become cut off from their awareness of who they really are. We have temporarily lost our conscious connection with our higher selves, and thus have lost our own sense of power and responsibility for our lives. In some inner way, we have a sense of helplessness. We feel basically powerless to make real change in our lives or in the world. This inner feeling of powerlessness causes us to overcompensate by striving and struggling very hard to have some degree of power or control in our world. Most of us, therefore, become very goal-oriented. We become emotionally attached to things and people outside of ourselves, which we feel we need in order to be happy. We feel there is something missing inside ourselves, and we become tense, anxious, and stressed, continuously trying to fill up the gap, trying to manipulate the outside world in order to get what we want. This is the state of being from which most people are setting goals and trying to create what they want in life. And unfortunately, from this level of consciousness, it doesn't work at all. Either you set up so many obstacles for yourself that you can't succeed, or you do succeed in reaching your goals only to find that they don't bring you inner happiness. It is at the point where we realize this dilemma that we begin to open up to a spiritual path. We realize that there simply has to be something more to life, and we begin to search for it. We may go through many different experiences and processes in our search, but eventually we are gradually restored to ourselves. That is, we come back into an experience of our spiritual essence, the universal energy within us all. Through this experience, we can be restored to our spiritual power, and the emptiness inside us is filled up from within. Now to get back to our supposed paradox. When we are coming out of the empty, grasping, manipulative condition, the first and foremost lesson to be learned is just to let go. We must relax, stop struggling, stop trying so hard, stop manipulating things and people to try to get what we want and need. In fact, stop doing so much and have an experience of just being for a while. When we do this, we suddenly discover that we're really perfectly okay. In fact, we feel quite wonderful just letting ourselves be and letting the world be the basic one on any path of self-awareness. Once you have begun to have this experience more and more often, you are opening up the channel to your higher self. And sooner or later, a great deal of natural creative energy will begin to flow through you. You start to see that you yourself are already creating your whole life and every experience that happens to you, and you become interested in creating more rewarding experiences for yourself and others. You begin to want to focus your energy toward the highest and most fulfilling goals that are real for you at any given moment. You realize that life can be basically good, abundant, and often fun, and that having what you truly want without struggle and strain is part of your natural birthright as a function of just being alive. This is a time when creative visualization can become a most important tool.
The age-old question.
Visualization can become a most important tool. even clearer. Let us imagine that life is a river. Most people are clinging to the bank, afraid to let go and risk being carried along by the current of the river. At a certain point, each person must be willing to simply let go and trust the river to carry him along safely. At this point, he learns to go with the flow, and it feels wonderful. Once he has become accustomed to being in the flow of the river, he can begin to look ahead and guide his own course onward, deciding where the course looks best, steering the way around boulders and snags, and choosing which of the many channels and branches of the river he prefers to follow, all the while still going with the flow. This metaphor shows us how we can accept our lives here and now, flowing with what is, and at the same time guide ourselves consciously toward our goals